John from aMTBer Product, and this is the Chainwax Podcast. Just a never-ending stream.
If you're traveling somewhere, you can just pack it in your suitcase and off you go, and you've got the wax with you. No need to have the hot
Of things to talk about when it comes to wax myths and wax misinformation. Now, Oz-Cycle has put back up his recipe of naphtha thinner and candle wax, boil it on the stove, paint thinner from the hardware store, and a candle, and make yourself 300 milliliters of highly flammable chain lube. Okay, now I'm going to show you something here real quick.
I'm going to show you how you can make your own homemade grip-on chain wax, and it's really simple to make. It's also a lot that you can buy, and it's just as good, if not with you. No need to have the hot pot with you. Maybe you're doing an ultra-long cycling adventure, and along with all your mini...
It's not just as good, and it's not for ultra-long cycling adventures, and we're going to prove that in a minute.
And I've done this a few times myself. Get up in the morning, I've got half an hour to... isn't it? And you give it a few pedals to... I'm going to show you how you can make your own. It's also parts, or your anodizing really is a saucepan.
All right, did you catch that? I think I messed up the thing here. Let me start over.
Plastic squeezy bottle, sauce bottle with a nozzle on, and a thermometer. The carrier or solvent won't damage any of your paintwork, parts, or your anodizing.
All right, so do you see how it's just a bunch of wax particles barely dissolved in this paint thinner? Okay. Now, this stuff is highly flammable. One, he's going to show you how to make this stuff on the stove, which is, I just can't, I don't have any words for this, okay? But this is just wax, candle wax, with a little bit of Teflon he put in it. And you can see how runny it is, okay? I mean, he's just showing you it's mostly paint thinner.
Or your plastic or anything on your bike, I guarantee you that. Wipes off really easy, just with a cloth.
Yeah, it doesn't get you many miles either. Now, he's going to claim he's getting 250 kilometers or so on one application of this wax water. Now, I'm going to show you something. He mentioned Strava, and I thought, oh, he's on Strava. Let's see if we can find him. And here he is. This is the Oz-Cycle guy's Strava. You know, it's pretty good. He's doing about 125 miles a week on average, or there's 88, 90, 139, 136. So he's doing a decent amount of miles. But what kind of miles is he doing? He just claimed he got 3 rides in on one application of his wax water. Let's take a look at his rides. So here's his latest ride. I guess today. 41 miles. Hold on. I'm on the phone here. 41 miles, 930 feet. All right, so there's no climbing involved in that. Let me just show you. When you see numbers like that, that's like basically just riding city streets. So you can see here, I'm trying to get rid of all these bubbles here. Hold on. You can see here on his elevation, over his 2.5 hour ride, he never did anything over 80 feet. This is just riding around on like city streets. Okay. So, here he goes with a 41 mile ride. I don't know what that is in kilometers. Something around 60 something kilometers. Okay. So he's saying 250 kilometers on an application of this wax water paint thinner mix. Let's look at the next ride. 31 miles with 1,900 feet. Well, that sounds a little better, but, is it that much better? Let's see if he's done any real big climbs. And, we got about 400 foot climb, and then down, and then about a 600 foot climb. So that's it. And the rest is just undulation. So it can add up to be, 1,900 feet. But really, the climbing was about 1,000 feet. Okay. Let's look at the next ride. Again, along the coast, 40 miles, 969 feet of climbing. That's just like riding around on city streets. And again, there's not going to be a single climb over 100 feet here. And there you go. And there's not a single climb over 80 feet. All right, so there's no stress going on the chain at all. Let's look at the next ride. Another one, it looks like it's along the coast. 70 miles, okay, with only 1,800 feet of climbing. So there's no climbing here at all. And you can see here that the biggest climb was about 160 feet. Not even that. So, you know, this is just riding around on city streets. You get this kind of numbers. Let's look at the next one. Another coastal ride. 43 miles, 946 feet. Just, there's no climbing there. There's no stress on the chain. Another ride. 35 miles, 955 feet. Absolutely zero stress on the chain. Here's 46 miles with 2,900 feet. That sounds, you know, it's still not even 100 feet a mile. But let's take a look at the climbing stats here. So you have some undulations here. Let's see if I can use this little tool here. So the biggest went to 1,100 feet. And on this climb, he started at about 500 feet. So it's about a 600-foot climb from here to there. And just a bunch of little 100 and 200-foot climbs, which are not a lot. And it's over a long amount of miles. So, you know, when you start doing 100 feet of climbing per mile, then you're starting to actually climb. And in Malibu, it's more like 150 feet a mile. Back to another coast ride. The next one, 900 feet of climbing, over 40 miles almost. 54 miles, 1,200 feet along the coast. 38 miles, 968 feet. 49 miles, there's that 3,000 foot one again. Let's take a look at that one. I think it's a different ride, but again, it's not going to have any big climbs in it. From 200 feet to about 800, so there's 600 feet. He undulates, that's it. There's just one climb and a bunch of little 150, there's just all little undulations to get to those elevation. It's not really a big stress on the chain. And then here we go again, 39 miles, 2,600 feet, but I'll bet you there's nothing big. And yeah, starting out at sea level, goes to 400 feet. That's really not much, guys. And it's you know, looks like it might be in a short period of time. So that might be a decent climb there in a couple of miles to get to 400 feet. And then you have one other one. So this is his only climb he's done. Of all the Stravas I've showed you, from 200 to about 900 here. So that's about 700 feet here. So on my daily loop, I'm doing 1,000 feet of climbing. And those 1,000 feet are in about 3 miles. So that's what we're talking about here. The next one, just to hammer this home. Well, there's one there. 39 miles. Okay, we covered that. Here's one, 40 miles, 963 feet. No climbing at all, no climbing. So this is how he's able to use the wax, water, paint thinner stuff and actually get through these rides. There's just no way this would hold up for me at my weight and where I would ride a road bike in my town in the heat in summer. And it's winter there down there, so he doesn't have the heat there either right now. He's able to get, I would only be able to get about 40 miles on a mixture like that out here. And that's the truth. That's basically, my earliest formulas were better than this. And they weren't using paint thinner and naphtha thinner. And, you know, basically what he's invented here is this is what rock and roll basically is. It's a little bit of wax with a bunch of solvent. And, yeah, it's a lot cheaper. If you're using rock and roll, then this is similar. It smells just as bad. It's a different smell. It's a lot oilier than rock and roll. Probably will be very dirty in the off-road. And then also when you add heat to just plain candle wax, those white candles are mostly paraffin and like a vegetable wax. So those things get really soft in the sun, and basically absorbs dust the minute it reliquefies in the sun. 44 miles, 975 feet. We covered. So yeah, you know, his big climbs are just a lot of undulation. There's not really a big climb. I can tell by the route there's no climbing here. So, there's just from 400 feet to 1,000, about 200 feet to about 1,000. So that's a decent climb. That's his best climb yet out of like all the rides we've looked at. Another coast ride with no elevation gain. 61 miles, 1,700 feet. That's next to nothing. Okay, let me see what that one is. Yeah, it's just a look. It's just not a single climb over 150 feet. It looks impressive, where did I see that? 1,700 feet, but it's over 61 miles. They're just a bunch of 100-foot climbs. This is not putting the chain through any stress. I think I've hammered it home on that point. All right, so basically this is just a real tame use of a Chainwax. This is not Tour de France level riding. This is not anywhere close to like what a real pro would do training. And that's what you have to design your lubes to be able to handle. This is just for a bunch of old guys that want to save some money, and they're doing pretty easy rides. They might do a big climb once in a while, but I'd like to hear what his chain sounds like at the end of that ride. The 70-mile ride with 3,000 feet of climbing. Probably sounds pretty terrible. But he'll never tell you that.
Eye on the temperature. The water temperature needs to be hot enough to melt the wax, but not melt your plastic bottle. Your canubra wax, but if you do, always take the cap off. Too hot. So just keep an eye on that temperature.
Keep an eye on that cooking paint thinner on your stovetop. Don't do this around an open flame, man. Don't even do this at all.
On the bottom of the pot, and the water's about to handle. Of course, the flakes will sit at the leader mark. Fills the gaps and put most of the wax on the bench to cool down in minutes. Like this, hasn't quite completed straight away. And then you can either put it on one drop at a time, one drop on each link, if you can be bothered.
All right, so I'm going to show you it's just basically a runny mess.
Clean it is. Now I'll turn the bike around and have a look at the inside of the chain. So you can see the inside of the chain is definitely dirtier than the outside of the chain.
That's because it's candle wax, and it's affected by heat, and it takes on dirt. Okay, that's why.
Just put an old towel or rag or something on the ground, or even an old shower curtain. That way, if you spill some on your good floor, you've got less to clean up.
Because this watery solution that he's showing you how to make is going to get all over the place, okay? And if you're putting out real watts, if you're putting out 500 watts, 700 watts, you're going to burn through this lube in 30, 40, 50 miles. Guarantee it. I guarantee it. So these guys are real proud of their stuff they make in their own way. I mean, yeah, they're not spending hundreds of dollars getting ripped off by the other guys like Silka and Cyclowax and Ceramic Speed and everybody else. But, there's you can buy better wax online for $25 for 2 pounds of bike melt wax, but it's still hot crock pot wax that flakes off, and you got to go through all that hassle to do it. You have to clean your chain thoroughly to put it in hot wax, or you're just making all your wax contaminated. So it's a major process. Now, these guys are real proud of this stuff, and yeah, they're getting 15,000 miles, but over those 15,000 miles, they're not doing any real climbing at all. They're not doing any real sprinting or anything like that. It's just a bunch of old guys in group rides putting out 200 watts, guys. So I thought I'd talk about that for a minute, because that came on my radar, and I tried to do a video earlier about it. It just didn't come out good on the tablet. The microphone on the tablet's terrible. When I touch the screen, it makes static, so don't know why, but it doesn't do that on my phone. So I had to redo this, and all right, so it's the next morning, and this stuff here, it sounds great. It makes a great YouTube title, but he's after the views, and he's got 10,000 views in 14 hours. This is the next morning already, And you can see here, he's spraying it all over the bike frame to show you how safe it is, but you can see it's just a bunch of particulates and paint thinner, and you know, it really isn't doing any real bonding to the chain. And it's paint thinner is oily, so this was going to get dirty. And this is something that is just another type of misinformation. If you're just pedaling around on bike paths and doing very slow efforts, I mean, his average speeds are pretty low. Like the guys around town who are top level riders, their average speeds are like 18, 20 miles an hour. You know, and so 13 mile an hour average speed, 14, 15 mile an hour average speed is just really just pedaling very, very lightly. Okay, it's just on flat roads, it's easy to maintain that pace. It's not putting out the speeds that you would see any buddy doing an effort to. What I mean is, like, people that are training and racing in races are putting out much higher wattage, much higher average speeds, and you know, a chain lube like this is going to just not last long at all in those situations. So it's just a fine balance between what's the truth and what starts to borderline on a lie here, because if you're not doing more than 200 watts, you're not putting the chain through much, and that's just a fact. So it's just more information on another flavor. You know, here's the wax pot for $21. Here's the one for $100. I think they're on sale now. I think the cat's out of the bag on that too. But you know, we wanted to come up with a solution that wasn't harmful or dangerous, and safe for your bike, safe for handling, safe for the environment. And that's our pinnacle product there, Smooth Lube Formula 5311. This will get you through everything you can throw at it and then some. So, all right, guys, I'll wrap it up there. Thanks a lot. Links in the description and application video, how to properly use the product. It's all there. Thanks a lot. Check it out.